wake up in the morning and not really want to get out of bed, even though I woke up already. So I would try to work from bed, essentially work from my laptop. For those of you who don't know, I'm a community manager. I manage a community team of people for Dan Lok, who is an influencer in the business niche. This mantra ran into my head of, yeah, but nobody truly knows who Tina is. And I don't know if you have a similar mantra, but when I get into that mindset of thinking that way, it does not matter how many times I talk to somebody, because I have this wall now, which is really bad because in what I do, I connect with people. That's what I'm good at. That's what I do. For me, I had to discover, okay, why is that wall up in the first place? What is this wall? Then I really thought about it deeper. Because essentially I wasn't thinking about loneliness at that point. I was just thinking about depression, right? I was just thinking, well, I just don't feel emotional safety with these people around me. Not entirely anyway, right? There's certain sections or subject matter that I do feel emotional safety towards. But that's not, there's different levels of vulnerability, right? There's the basic level of vulnerability, and then as you go further and deeper, there's like the super vulnerability, and it takes time to trust somebody to allow yourself to be that vulnerable, right? And you have to do all these trust bits, which if you haven't seen the video, there's a link below. There's a link that's popping up as the eye icon right now. So check that out for the trust video, because it'll make a lot more sense if you know what I'm talking about. But is it the trust that I feel for another person? Because I felt connected with these same people just the month earlier. So then what happened? Now I distrust everybody? Or is there something going on with me? Let's suppose that there is something going on with me. What is about trust, emotional safety? Do I not feel emotional safety within myself? Do I not trust myself? And then when I was asking that and I was looking at my blueprint, it clicked where, yeah, essentially, I don't trust myself and I don't feel that emotional safety within myself because I am judging myself right now. Oh, you're not good enough, right? Or you're just not enough, Tina. And all of these thoughts are going in my head and I'm not being kind to myself, essentially. And then I remembered a practice that I used to do on a regular basis that I no longer do anymore. And for me, that's journaling. It's not normal journaling, by the way, because journaling, it's not Dear Diary crap, okay? It's really a specific methodology of journaling that has helped me in specifically being kind to myself and then creating emotional safety for myself, so I feel connected to myself and therefore I can connect with everything else. And it's not just with people, but it's with my career, it's with my body, with fitness, with health, with all of these things that I'm so misaligned with. And I'm so misaligned with because I am just so harshly judging myself, and it's all in my head and it's not on paper. And so I can't get rid of it because I keep it in my head. Because for me anyway, loneliness isn't derived from the lack of people in my life. And yes, sure, I can have people in my life that can make up for my own loneliness, but it's temporary. At the end of the day, you have to take control, and you can only control what you do for yourself, right? If you have to rely on other people to make you feel included, or you feel not so lonely and not be in despair, then you're gonna be in trouble, because I know I would go into that rut. I'm the queen of going into that rut because I'm such a lone wolf and I like just doing my own thing by myself, right? It doesn't mean I have to socialize all the time or anything like that, but it essentially means that I'm not being mean to myself and therefore suppressing the best version of myself. And part of that is feeling connected with people. Part of that is not feeling lonely and feeling like I belong. So I'm going to tell you exactly what I do with my journaling. If this helps you, then awesome.
The dump list. So the dump list essentially is just a list that you're gonna lay out all your emotions and feelings, and you just have to just be as brutally as honest as possible, and everything and anything that comes to your mind, you write it down. The key to this is that you don't stop yourself from anything or judgment of, or fear of judgment of anybody or anything. So if it makes you feel more comfortable, you can go ahead and burn that piece of paper or rip it out and throw it in the trash can. So usually my dump list, I start off with anger. And anger means I'm cursing out, I'm just laying out my frustration and laying out my thoughts and feelings. And this is really just the lizard part of the brain, right? The lizard brain. It's that instant reaction that you have to a certain event that happened, a certain situation that happened, and it's that instant reaction that you have. So the anger parts for me comes out first. And then eventually I go into my emotions. I go into my vulnerable place, right? The reason why I'm so angry. I know psychologists always say behind the anger is a feeling of hurt, right? Behind anger is always a feeling of hurt. So then essentially it's the why I feel angry. Why I feel angry about that. Why am I feeling this way? Why am I so frustrated? Why do I feel like I hate this person or that situation, right? So it goes into that emotion part, right? Maybe I'm feeling insecure. Maybe I'm feeling jealous, which goes into insecurity, of course. Maybe I feel hurt, right? Maybe I feel like I was rejected, right? So all of these things, I instantly go into this emotional part, and this is the heart of it. Now, from the emotional part, I just keep going until I can't speak anymore. And while I'm doing this process, I want to make sure that you do not judge yourself. All right? Do not judge yourself. And this is so important because when we do that, we essentially stop our brain. And we don't want to stop our brain from thinking. We want to lay it all down on a piece of paper so we could get it out of our head and get it out of our conscious and subconscious so we can actually find a solution. What happens when you lay down all your emotions is that I personally naturally start to ask questions. And these aren't just any questions. These are essentially the why questions again. But in this case, it's why am I feeling these emotions? So it could be, why is it that I'm hurt that this person said or did this specific thing? Is it because they've done this in the past and now it's a pattern and I need to address this? Because naturally with these questions, you're going to come to a solution, you'll find. Is it that perhaps I'm feeling emotional because of something else that happened that has nothing to do with this specific situation, and I just feel comfortable with this person, so I'm taking it out on them, right? There's just so many different solutions. So between maybe solution A, B, C, or not solution, but answer A, B, and C, then I would ask myself, what is the probability that A, B, or C is true? Now, they always say that the simplest answer is usually the right answer, right? The less complex the answer is, the simplest truth is usually the right one. The next question you might ask yourself is, how do I find that solution? What that means is that maybe I have a solution. Maybe I don't have a solution. I'm just thinking, you know what? I'm too in this. Who do I speak to that can help me with the solution? If that's the case, if you can't figure it out yourself, the who, and who is relevant enough, right? Who is the most unbiased person that I can ask to find a solution? Who is the expert? Maybe you have to hire out somebody. Maybe you have to hire a consultant. Maybe you have to hire a coach, a therapist, whatever it is. But you want to find that who if you can't essentially find a solution that is logical from A, B, or C. And I do want to say that is logical, and I want to keep that key because we want to make sure that we stepped out of the emotions. When we're asking questions, they're essentially curious questions, right? Curious questions. It's almost as if you're saying, well, suppose that this is true. What then? Suppose that A is true, what then? Suppose that B is true, what then? Suppose that C is true, what then? And you can go through the solution path. And if if the A doesn't work, then you can go to B. If B doesn't work, then you can go to C. That's essentially what I did with loneliness. I thought, well, you know what, I'm probably not hanging out with my close friends. Right? Maybe that's the solution. I need to hang out more. And I tried A. I did try A. It was the most simplest answer, simplest solution, and it's likely to be right statistically. But I tried A. It was not working. When I tried B, when I tried to really look into myself, actually, this one worked. Right? So now I'm going to start the journaling process because that is a solution that has worked for me right away. And for me, it's mostly because I have the muscle memory already. If you have not journaled already, it's probably going to take the 21 days that essentially will create the habit in the first place. But because I already had the habit, it's a little bit different for me. I have that instant gratification right away because I have the muscle memory. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so then we go into the questions, we find out the who, we go into the solution and next step mode, and then we go into the action steps. I know it's really messy, but it starts off with just your basic lizard brain, just talking it out, right? You go savage. You go savage on this. Make sure you go savage and be as savage as you possibly can be. As you calm down, really go into the why. And when you truly and you're honestly going into your why, you'll find that there's emotions behind that anger, true, deeper emotions behind that anger. You know, get it all out there. It might take more than 1 or 2 pages, and that's okay. And the big questions to this and for anger is you ask yourself, is there more? This is such a key question. Is there more? You ask yourself that question, and if there is, and you think of something, you write down more. How you know that that's it is when you really have no trigger emotion that's coming to mind. You have no thought that comes to mind. You just think, yep, I pretty much laid it out there. And then you can move on to the next step, right? So this is essentially what I do for my daily dump list. I also do a goal setting. I do a life goal setting. I do a yearly goal setting and a daily goal setting. But even just doing this dump list itself is going to just clear out a lot of that junk in your brain. Because with these action steps, naturally, you're going to go into goal setting. You're going to go into, okay, what do I need to do? And what are the steps 1, 2, and 3 in order to do these action steps, in order to get to the goal that I need to get to?
For those of you who don't know, my name is Tina Leader, and go ahead and kiss that like button and subscribe if you haven't already.
So here is the dump list. I hope it was helpful. Make sure you get really messy with it. Don't judge yourself. And if you want to burn it or throw it away, you can go ahead and do that as well. Just make sure that you do not judge yourself while you're doing this.